Hi guys, I'm William, and in today's video we're gonna talk about these two questions from a past question papers of grade 10s. A lot of times people think that distinctions are hard to get, but they are really not, because in most cases teachers are too lazy to set new questions, right? So they always go back to the previous questions or previous question papers to get questions from them. So this means that if you study with past question papers, you will get a distinction, if not good marks. So, but let's carry on with the today's video. We have two questions that are factorization questions, and you're gonna need to factorize them the best way we know, right? There are many ways to factorize questions or expressions or things like that, and you always need to choose the method that you are mostly comfortable with, right? Especially when it has good marks in it. So let's get started. The first one says t squared r minus, I'm actually looking this way, but you will look up there because I'm gonna put it up for you. So then that is r plus s, and I want you to remember arithmetics, right? You always need to remember arithmetics. You won't be told these are arithmetics questions or they include arithmetics. That is how mathematics work. So it stacks concepts one on top of each other. So you always need to remember arithmetics. You always need to remember that a negative number multiplied by a negative number is always going to be a positive number, and a negative number multiplied by a positive number is gonna be a negative number, right? Always remember these two. This simply means that a positive number 2 is still the same as a negative 2, right? Because this negative will multiply this negative to become a positive, and then it influences the sign of that 2, right? It becomes a positive 2. Okay, if you remember this, or if you understand this, it is perfect. Let's carry on. My first step here will be simple. I just want to focus on this part because there's not much I can do on the left hand side, not the left hand side, but on this part of this expression, right? So that will be t squared r minus s, and I'm gonna focus on this because I see that r minus s is similar, not the same, similar to r plus s, right? So negative, remember what we just spoke about here, we can take out one negative from this positive to make it a negative, right? So before I do that, I just wanna start with this and explain further. And then now that we have our expression this way with our addition, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the value of the expression, right? So you just want to put it there just so to understand. You don't need to put it. So let's carry on. So here we're gonna take out this negative, right? Remember I said if we have a negative outside, it will multiply the negative inside, right? This simply means that if we have maybe a negative 3 like so, this is the same as taking this negative outside, right? It is the same as doing this, right? These two numbers are of the same value. So let's carry on. And then my next step will be t squared r s plus. This plus will be influenced by the negative as we take it outside, right? This negative comes from this side to this side. So that will be negative, open bracket. Then my r will be positive because I took out the negative from it. And then if I take a negative from a positive, it becomes a negative s or minus s. Then I see that I have a common thing here. Then I can isolate it, right? I can isolate it to say that is r minus s, and then if I take out r minus s from this part, what remains is 1, right? So I'll have t squared minus 1. And remember, this is a difference of two squares. When we have a difference of two squares, that simply means that a squared minus b squared, right? And this is simply factorized this way. We take A, we put it here, we put it here, and we take B, we put it here, and put it there. Then we just populate with signs. That will be how we factorize a difference of two squares. And we will do the same thing with t squared minus 1, because 1 is a squared value of 1. It is a cube value of 1. It is a 1 to the power 4, right? It is always going to be 1. So let's carry on. That will be r minus s, and then t minus 1, and then t plus 1. We just spoke about this one here. So this is how you want to focus on these questions. They are not tricky, but you need to think, and you always need to remember your arithmetics when you factorize or simplify your expressions. Let's go to the second one. So the second one says x cubed plus 1 all over, is it plus? Yeah, it's plus 1. Then x squared minus x plus 1. I didn't do these things before, so I'm just curious if I wrote them properly on that paper. So yeah, now let us do this, right? This expression, it is a fraction expression, right? And remember, a fraction has a numerator and a denominator, right? Keep this in mind. And we only cancel out common factors only if these two sides are factors, right? Or they are broken down into factors, or maybe they are products. We do not cancel out common terms, right? Because if we have a minus b all over b, these are just terms, and this is not a product, it is a difference, right? And in a difference, we have terms. We do not have products. These are terms, right, put together with a minus sign. And you need to remember this, because what I see learners do is, if they do not remember well these things, they will just cancel out the b, because they remember that you can cancel out common factors, but they don't remember that these are they are not factors, they are terms, right? So you need to keep that in mind, that we have terms and we have factors. They are different. So in this case, we have terms on our numerator and we have terms on our denominator. They are not yet factors. We need to factorize first for us to have factors. So we look at this, and this is a sum of two cubes. We have x squared as x cubed plus 1, and this one can just be written as 1 cube, right? And we know that if we have something like that, let me just write it down here. If we have a cube, not square, let me just write that properly, a cube plus b cube, this is the same as, or we can factorize it this way. We can populate a here and populate with b here, and that plus sign, right? And then if it is a plus sign here we're gonna put negative, and then this one will always be a positive. And then we populate this part here with a squared, not cube, a squared. And this one with b squared. It comes from this one. And we multiply the bases for this middle part, right? That'll be AB. And this is how you simplify, not simplify, this is how you factorize a sum of two cubes. That's what we're gonna do here. And that will be x plus 1, and this will be x squared. Then this will be 1, because you don't want to write 1 squared, right? That is just 1. And that will be plus that. This is always plus, and this will be minus because that is plus. And then x multiplied by 1 is x. So that's how you put it. Okay, this is my step. And all over. So this one, we will write it as is. We don't need to simplify it. Why? Because it is the same as this one. So you don't need to simplify that or factorize that, because we will just cancel it out. And then my answer here is x plus 1. Thanks.